Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Tuesday. It's April 4th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And um, really, we got an upward bias here. You can see the EMA working upward, but notice how prices are still swinging back and forth above and below the EMA. That gives it a neutral twist as well. And really, we spent almost the entire trading day inside. Here's your overnight high. Here's your overnight low. We spent the entire day. We broke out above that for just a couple of ticks right around the 2 o'clock hour, and we ended up pushing above that before the day closed. But you don't want to be entering any trades out here. So really, for all intents and purposes, that's today's price action, and we just spent the day going from the low to the high. There is a channel within there. You can see prices consistently working off that trend line. And so if you had this trend line, you pretty much were in pretty good shape as far as finding when to enter to head towards the higher side, um, and when to exit and head back to the lower side. So, and this is what causes these funky looking wedges and things. You can see there's really a channel, but what happens is you just get this strong resistance across here that we can't get through, and so it makes it look like a wedge. But still, for all intents and purposes, it's a channel working up that's just running into strong resistance. Eventually, it breaks on through. And so that's your clue that we're probably going to go higher, is that you got a channel working higher. The range could eventually went out and we could go lower, but most of the time, um, this is what is really going on is you got this channel working up and you're just running into this resistance, and eventually it breaks, it gets through there, and it moves on higher. So that's your clue that we're making higher lows all the way up this thing. Even though we're pretty flat across this top, every time we pull back, we make a higher low, and you can see it working up that trend line the entire day. So this is the key entry point. We didn't get a lot of good setups off of it. We got a few. You probably could argue for, you might argue for this one. It's still not a very good signal bar. It's not that far away from the EMA. This one's right into the EMA, so I don't like it. So really, you need to wait on your higher low. And I missed one right here that I forgot to mark. And but yeah, um, same thing here. And this one's real close to being blue. Same thing here. This one's close to being green, but I made it blue because it went lower and then turned and went out the upper side. So, um, but yeah, you have to wait on these higher lows, and you could argue for that one to be blue. It's back above the EMA. It's borderline. I'll make them blue just so we're consistent. You see, there's your two entries, there's your two, and there's your two. And none of these had a very good signal bar off of the trend line until way up here late in the afternoon. And it's too late then, but that one, if it wasn't late in the afternoon, I'd mark that one blue right there. Uh, but let's talk about the trades, and we'll wrap the day up. And you had to be a little patient this morning because we came off the low end down here, and really you got a trend working down at that point. You got a big break, a big move down to a new low, and look how far away you are from the EMA. I'll be honest, I like that trade. I still am going to mark it uh, green just simply because it's a little bit aggressive, but when you've been that far away from the EMA and you've got your break and a new low and a nice reversal bar, especially as bearish as that is, that's why you never want to go low, way away, or go short or long, far away from the EMA like that. You want to, because prices are going to pull back to it, and it's not, unless it's a really super strong trend, it doesn't stay away from the EMA that long. But let me move this to the far right hand side. So you're looking at that. Look how bearish that looks. And so when you see this next bar, it takes a lot of nerve to go long right there. But look how far away from that EMA is. And we had a big break up here and a new low, and we're way away from that EMA. So I like going long there. You're going to get a scalp out. You're probably going to go back to the EMA at the very minimum. But again, it's aggressive because it could tick up and turn down and trap you out and then turn up. So you got to be you got to be a little choosy with these, and you got to be careful with them as well. So I'm going to leave it green, even though I really like that setup. And now you got a trend working up. You get a little close outside here, and you work to a new low, and then you just kind of start going sideways. You finally get another test of this high right here in a relatively bullish bar. Um, but again, it's a little bit aggressive. You could almost, this double bottom is pretty close here, so it's a little bit aggressive for that reason. And it does end up failing. You would have scalped out of this one, but you still consider this a failure. And then look, it's a double test of this level and a nice reversal bar. I like going long there, looking for it to shoot on up. I figure we're going all the way to the overnight high. Doesn't do that, but it turns down instead. But notice you got your break here now. You got a huge move to a new high. You're a long way away, and you get a lower high right there. That's a big bar. So really, you have to enter below that bar, or you let it break below this bar, and you drop your limit order back up here, and you probably wouldn't have got filled on that, and you probably would have missed that trade. The safer one is to wait on the reversal pattern. Notice how we push on through the EMA, we pull back, a failed second entry long, and this went higher first, and then turned and went out the other side, and then it fought its way all the way back up. But I like going short when it went out the other side, and then all of a sudden the bottom falls out of it. It pulls back for a breakout pullback short here. Um, I don't like going short way down there. You're getting away from the EMA now. Um, you might argue for it being off that key entry point, but you've already had a break here in a new low, so I just think it's too risky. I think you want to sit tight and see if it bounces, and then it does bounce here. Draw that trend line just to see what happens, and notice it comes back. It actually goes lower, touches that line, and fight. It takes a lot of buying for a bar to be trading way down here in reverse and close that high. So I like entering there. It's a pretty big bar, so you might let it break higher and drop a limit order in, or you might just wait and see if you get another pullback and another chance to enter, which you do. But if you entered here, I like adding on right here and getting you a double dose, and you could ride this. Even though it comes back here, I probably wouldn't have ridden this out coming back. But if you like to, swing trade, you could have, and you would have survived and been able to ride this all the way back up again. Actually, you could have ridden it all the way into the close of the day if you like to, follow those kind of trades. So, turns out to be a nice entry. It's tempting to go short here, and you really could go short, but it's such a big bar, there's no way to get in it, and so I didn't even mark it. Even if you used a limit order, you wouldn't have got filled. And then, of course, it comes back down here and it makes a double bottom right at the trend line again. But that's not a very good signal bar. Wait on that higher low, which comes here, and you broke lower first and then went out the other side. And then you get a little breakout pullback long here, and this confirms the trend line with a third touch. Failed second entry short after two legs up. I like going long there. It comes back here, but there's just a first entry, and you're right at the overnight highs now, so you got to be careful. You might have let it come back here and entered right here if you had enough room. I didn't like taking it, but if you've got enough room to get out, you might consider that for an aggressive trade. I like waiting and see if we get a reversal off the overnight high, and we do. And notice we get a double test here of that high, a nice bearish bar, a pretty good bit away from the EMA. Again, you probably want to wait on that lower high or your reversal pattern. But if you want to be aggressive, I like that one. You actually get a lower high right here. It goes higher and turns and goes out. But it's right into a little double bottom, right into the EMA. Wait on that reversal pattern. And you actually pull back here and get this big bearish bar. So I like entering there. And you're looking for it to come back to the trend line again, most likely. It does. It comes down here, bounces right at the trend line once again. This was a fairly easy trend line if you just drew it off those first two swings. And if you weren't sure whether to use the closes or not, all you had to do was wait on this bounce here, and then you had it. So pretty easy to find. But again, we bounce here. Again, not a very good signal bar. We have what looks like, actually, this should be over a little bit. We have what is a pretty good close here. It's not a super convincing, but that's close enough. I mean, that you can see that clearly closes outside, and then you get another one that's a doji. So you move to a new low, and it bounces right off the trend line. Again, not a very good signal bar, so you wait on a higher low, which comes here, and it pushes through the EMA, pulls back, bounces off the trend line. If you drew it off those first few couple of bars there, it does kind of fit. So, and then it pulls back. So I like adding on here, and if you aren't in now, this is your true reversal. Get in right here, and you're looking forward to at least test these highs and maybe go all the way to the high of the channel. And so this is another pretty good double move. And then what happens, it gets a little failed breakout right up here, makes a lower high, it actually breaks higher, turns and goes out the other side. What's probably going to happen is coming back to the trend line again, most likely. Sure enough, there it comes. There's a failed second entry long here, so you could have entered here too, but it's after the hour, so I didn't mark it, but it's close enough. If you really wanted to be aggressive, you might enter that one right at 2 o'clock, but it is after the 2 o'clock hour. So, but that's your reversal pattern, and if you've got enough to get out before you get to this key entry point, I like taking it. So other than the fact that it's after 2 o'clock. So yeah, it was a pretty good day. The channel, like I said, was not very hard to find. It might have been a little confusing when it doesn't go higher up here, but that's just the overnight high and low, and it's finding strong resistance there. People were probably looking at this as a trading range as well as the channel. But if you found this channel and you see these, even if you didn't see the channel, if you keep seeing these higher lows all the way up, that's telling you that the buying is getting stronger every time it pulls back. And so eventually it's going to break on through, most likely. And of course it does. It's close to the 3 o'clock hour before it does, but it still does break through there. So yeah, nice trading day. Not too hard to decipher. If you only just waited for it to come back to the trend line and took a higher low each time, you'd have done okay. Even if you'd have bought the key entry point with a bad signal bar, you'd have done okay. Every one of these would have been a nice buy. But again, we want to follow the rules, so we leave them alone and wait on the higher lows. And you still turn out okay. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We will be back again to do it tomorrow, but I'm done for today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.